Tracy.
Hi. So, David, you were telling me about how you think that the Illuminati basically is controlling governments around the world, and that they themselves are under the control of Lucifer, or they're worshiping Lucifer. Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Okay. So, I think there may be something to that. I mean, what my research tends to indicate is that there's quite a lot of involvement amongst people in positions of power with secret societies, conducting rituals that would be considered occult, and dealing with entities that would be considered Satan or Lucifer in some people's worldview. I think the distinction I like to make here is that Satan or Lucifer, this is a concept that came about through modern Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
But the God, or the entity that's based on, is much older than Christianity. So Christianity, being the newcomer on the scene, trying to define all the phenomena in the universe according to their value system of what's good and what's evil, that has been imposed upon everyone's mind, and that's what comes natural to everyone. That's the way people think, is that there's Christianity, and Christianity's God, and then everything that's not that is Satan, is the general worldview of Christians. So I feel that that's a misunderstanding, that if you're going to understand who Satan is, then you have to look at him from a historical perspective, the way the ancients who worshipped this entity in the first place really saw it. So what really happened is Christianity came on the scene and decided that this entity is the embodiment of evil, and built a whole mythology around it. But this entity, this concept, had existed a long time before that, and was considered basically the archetype of the Lord of the Earth. In other words, he's the king of material existence. Mm-hmm. And also, that's the Satan concept.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Are we in hell right now?
There's one way of thinking of it that way. I mean, that's kind of a...
The Matrix, or you ever see the movie Dark City?
Oh yeah, that's something I write about in my most recent book, Money Grows on the Tree of Knowledge. We talk about the concept that, yeah, maybe we are in a fake reality, and really I would get into the idea that maybe we're sort of inside the digestive system of someone else, mm-hmm. or we're being prepared for digestion. I seriously get into the idea that, yeah, the universe is sort of this, because we're dealing with alchemy in that book, that the universe is this matrix of athanors. That's the vessel in alchemy where the child that's sacrificed, representing Mercury, is placed inside and boiled down to his constituent parts, down to his prima materia, the original material out of which the whole of the universe was made. You boil it down to the essence of matter, and then reconstitute it as the philosopher's stone. And so what I said in Money Grows on the Tree of Knowledge is that that's happening to us. Just as in the story of the movie The Matrix, you have the humans being used as batteries. They're sleeping, they're not aware of what's going on, but they are being digested basically by this womb-like system that they're trapped within, and they're not even aware of it.
Also, like the movie Monsters, Inc., the way that they come to the children in their dreams and they scare them raw to get their energy away. I just said raw, I didn't mean to.
No, I think you're pointing at something. I mean, this is what people in esoteric systems say really is going on between them and the gods or entities that they're dealing with. There's an energy exchange, and when you're doing a sacrifice, you're giving the gods a bit of energy, and then they're supposed to give you something in return. So the idea that we may just be being used for our energy by beings, we're inside of some closed system, so think of it as a box, and then there's entities on the outside of that box that are just feeding off of the energy that we're putting out. I think to a certain extent that is happening. There's no way to prove it. It's just a philosophical idea. But what I did in the book, Money Grows on the Tree of Knowledge, is I then extrapolated further and said, well, if, you know, this idea exists that maybe this is the structure of the universe, can we find it on a smaller scale in society, in specifically the monetary system and how it operates? I showed that it operates on the same basic system of child sacrifice and using people as resource material.
We are slaves. The thing is, the monetary system, fractional reserve, fiat, fictional, based on faith. We have to have faith in this illusion. The top of the pyramid, the all-seeing eye, what do you think the all-seeing eye is?
Well, basically, I think that the real meaning of that, see, it's the capstone on the pyramid that finishes the pyramid.
Sure.
It's the hidden element within that is sort of the glue of reality that holds everything together. That's that prima materia that I was just talking about. That's the hidden essence within reality.
Well, you're speaking about the hidden essence, but did you ever see the video that I made? I put it on YouTube. It's called 666 Found. Aaron Russo showed me this in a dream.
No.
Well, basically what happens is, well, I did have a dream, and Aaron Russo came. You've seen America, Freedom to Fascism?
Yes.
So we know that he died, you know, rest in peace. But he came to me, and he shook me and woke me up and told me to look at the Great Seal and look at the Roman numerals. And when I looked at the Roman numerals, he says, I can't show you, you have to find it. That's a spiritual rule. And I said, okay, so I'm like, what am I supposed to see? But the first letter I looked at in the Roman numerals was the M. And they crossed the M out. So I figured, you know, I've studied long enough to crack this code. He wants me to find it to show the world. And so they crossed out the M, they crossed out the C, and they crossed out the X. And that leaves over DCLXVI. Of course, you type that into the Roman numeral calculator, and you get 666. So I think there's a connection there, but, you know, money is the root of all evil, and then we have the hidden 666. I think that the Masons, I don't know, I don't want to point a finger at one group in particular for who did it, but it is kind of a mystery, and it's kind of interesting that it is there. And, you know, just so you know, I mean, I just found that kind of interesting, and then to be a part of something. I mean, that's just my little contribution to the global awakening. I think we have an awakening to this dollar that's useless. It's worth 2 cents, you know, and basically, I mean, I have a food supply, and I'm trying to get prepared, but being aware of the reality is like, there's a lot of different names for Lucifer, Satan, you know, all these different names. But the whole point, now my conclusion in my studies has been that if we're just like a vessel or a cup, and, you know, we are our energy, you can be positive or negative. So if you have a positive thought, now the word Jesus is kind of like a positive thought in a lot of people's eyes, even though there's been a lot of death and murder, people fighting over religions over these hundreds of years, thousands of years. But if you have a positive thought, when you have an attack, the negative can't get into your vessel because you've already filled it with a positive thought. And that's kind of like my form of magic as far as to stay sane in this crazy world. I mean, I guess you haven't seen what I'm talking about, but later and you can go check that out, and then anybody can send me a little note or whatever, but I'm definitely open for hearing ideas about where we're going and where we came from. I mean, that's my search and my journey. I don't know.
Well, you know, again, yeah, I try to look at the idea of the Antichrist and Lucifer and all of this from the perspective of the people that are supposedly doing all of this. What are they thinking?
Where's Caleb?
Caleb's safe. We're going to stay on the air for as long as possible. All we can say is what we've been repeating all morning. Get to any kind of underground shelter.